Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti, hoping you guys are having a good day. And above all else, that you're looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Mr. Bill Schuster here with me today. How you doing, Bill?
Doing great, Armando. How about yourself?
Doing all right, doing all right. Again, getting over this sinus infection, but you know what? It's slowly going away. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Technical glitches and all. Yes, we are back with another installment of New Music Discovery. We haven't done one of these in a while. So we are going to tackle this with a bit of a flip of the script. Okay. Bill today is in the hot seat with regards to a new music discovery. And we are going to be discussing a band that he has known about for the past 20 years, one or two songs, give or take, but has not really dove into their catalog. This is a band that has been around since 1991 with their self-titled debut, self-released on Eternal Music, which was their own label. The band in question is the Tea Party, hailing from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Trio comprised of Jeff Martin on guitars, vocals, and various instruments. Stuart Chatwood on keyboards, mellotron, bass, various instruments, and Jeff Burrows on drums, percussion, and various instruments. Now, the Tea Party, in terms of the musical style, the only way I can describe the Tea Party is basically take the Doors mixed with Led Zeppelin with a good dose of Middle Eastern influence in terms of the instrumentation. Heavy as all get out. They were signed to upon their formation, they were signed to EMI Canada for their major label debut, Splendor Solis, and that is the album that we're going to be tackling today. But before I get into that, a little bit more on the Tea Party. To date, they have released 9 albums, their last being Blood Moon Rising in November 2021 through Inside Out Music, which was released in Russia and Europe, respectively. The only way you could get Blood Moon Rising up to this point is through imports and through Amazon.ca, where you pay an arm and a leg and a torso for it. They have released 3 EPs, one live album, one compilation album. In terms of popularity, they are big in Canada. They are very big in Australia and in Europe. But in terms of the U.S. market, they really didn't crack the U.S. market. They're known in places like Detroit and Buffalo, places like that. But in terms of widespread U.S. acclaim and mainstream success, it's basically eluded them for the basically for the lifetime of their formation, which to me, as a major fan, is quite tragic, actually, because they deserve to be known more than what they are in the US. So, as I said, we have flipped the script. A few months back, we did a series on new music discovery featuring Joe Jackson. We're going to start with the first major label debut of Splendor Solis for the Tea Party. I've given Bill this assignment a few months ago. Okay, so much for the short intro. But I will pass the virtual mic over to Mr. Schuster, and he'll give us his take on Splendor Solis from the Tea Party. Take it away, Bill.
All right, thank you, Armando. Yeah, we talked about this months ago, like Armando said. But the idea with these new music discoveries is we're not listening to them a lot. So I haven't been listening to the album over and over and over again, doing a deep
Mhm.
dive. The idea is more kind of initial impressions rather than a deep dive. Just to
Yes.
so, yeah, I put off listening for quite a while. Uh, I've actually listened 2 or 3 times, but they were separated because I thought we were going to get to the show a little sooner than we did. So
Yes.
I had to go back again to refresh myself and to take a few notes. So technically, yeah, I've done more than one listen, but it's spread out a good distance. I've long been familiar with the opening track, "The River." As I mentioned on these shows before on the Music Den, there was a Rush themed message board called Counterparts that existed for a long time in this century. This was back 2002 to 2007. We had a CD exchange on the Counterparts message board there, and two Tea Party songs were included for me from one of our Canadian members. And one
Mhm.
of them was the opening track to River. So I've known that song for a couple decades now, as well as the song Lullaby, which is not from this album. I've always liked the River, but for whatever reason, I never got around to following up on it. There are many cases like that. There's just so much music out there. There's a lot of artists on the list of I really need to, and then just never do for whatever reason. But now is the time. This show has given me the excuse and the reminder. I've always really enjoyed the River, and frankly, if that would have been played on the rock stations around my area here in the middle of the United States, this thing should have been a big hit on KC 95, the rock station in St. Louis. I mean, it would have
Mhm.
fit perfectly with the stuff they were playing in 1993.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know if it was a marketing thing or what. I certainly don't remember ever hearing them on the radio in the States at all. Doesn't mean they didn't get played. I just didn't hear them. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, the River. It's an example of a song that, as you mentioned, this band is very clearly they have the Zeppelin sound and that Doors sound through the Morrison sounding voice of Jeff
Yes.
Martin, but they also are very much a modern rock band of that time. This is a 93 album and it sounds like a 1993 album with classic influences. It doesn't sound like they're trying to specifically recreate 1969 or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the song opens with a cool Middle Eastern sounding guitar. I mean, they're the Middle Eastern influences that you discussed are there right from the opening of the
Mhm.
album. And I love the drum sound. It's this thumping, very clear, very powerful. It's just very well recorded.
Yes.
Kind of makes me want to play the air drums along with it. Um,
The one, just to interject something, the one thing that I noticed about the Tea Party as a fan was that, as a new fan in '93, was that they had such a massive drum sound in terms of the River and other songs on this album. Yeah, yeah, it very opposite of what the antithesis of what was happening on the Canadian music scene at that time, right? In terms of the sound. So yeah, I digress. Go back. I'll hand it back to you.
uh, then we go on to the second song is Midsummer Day. And again, in my notes here have the Zepp comparisons really come out in that acoustic guitar opening. I,
Yeah,
I hate to, I'm going to keep harping on the Zeppelin comparisons, and I don't want it to make it sound like I'm accusing them of just being a copycat band because I don't think that's true at all. But Jeff Martin's guitar influences are very clear. Um, I've got this later in my notes, but I'll just go ahead and say it now while I'm thinking of it while I'm on the subject.
hmm
To me, Jeff Martin as a guitarist is to Jimmy Page uh, what Frank Marino and Robin Trower are to Jimi Hendrix.
Okay, good
Jimmy Page,
analysis. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
because and he's not just a lot of people that try to emulate Zeppelin or Jimmy Page in particular are kind of one note. They kind of try to just go for like the heavy stuff. Let me do the whole lot of love riff or something like that.
yeah.
Jeff Martin seems to get very clearly that Jimmy Page is a lot more than that, and he covers the spectrum more. Lots of Jimmy's folksy and acoustic and bluesy sounds that don't fit in a heavy metal context,
Yeah,
and that's important.
yeah, and just to interject something too, the Tea Party did open for Page and Plant and Page, and in the late '90s, just around Walking in Clarkston, the album when that came out, and Jeff Martin has said that they were doing their set and he looked over on his left side and Jimmy Page is standing there watching him. And he looked over on his right and Robert Plant is standing on the other side of the stage with his tea in his hand, taking a sip of tea. And he is like, Robert Plant is like nodding, like, okay, all right, okay. Because Robert Plant was famous for saying other bands like the Cult, etc., should just quit because you know what I mean? Because they could never hope to be like Zeppelin. Whereas to Jeff Martin, it was like they were given the acknowledgement that yes, you're not like us, but you're carrying the torch on, like you're doing your own version of what we did. So there was a camaraderie between the two groups, you know, between the musicians. So yeah, yeah. No, it's that was a good story. That was a famous story that happened. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I like the touch of it, him literally drinking tea while
Yes.
watching the Tea Party.
Yeah, exactly.
Subtle,
Exactly.
Robert, subtle.
Very subtle. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. It's true.
Let's see. Continuing with the album,
Yeah.
"Certain Slant of Light" is the third track. It's lots of cool, spooky acoustic guitar. I dig the killer rocking transition in the chorus with the "I think she's coming down again" line. That's they really rock it up on that. "I think she's coming down again" section there, which is good. I like the again with the Zeppelin stuff. It's another thing that a lot of the poor imitators miss. You have to have the light and shade along with the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
This is an example of that, where it starts out one way and ends up just boom, boom, becoming something completely different in a different
Yes.
section of the song. Um, that keeps them interesting throughout. Let's see, track number 4, "Winter Solstice." All right. I hate to be obvious, but this short instrumental would be right at home on Zeppelin 3. Um, I
Yes.
think Jimmy Page comparison is much more relevant than the Morrison-esque voice, as that he can't really control what he sounds like vocally.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do. I had mentioned in our previous attempt to record this that I think his voice does sound a lot like Jim Morrison, but I think Jeff Martin actually has a stronger voice than Jim Morrison.
Hmm.
So yeah, I like it better. And it's not distinct. It's not a clone. It's more of a are you guys related
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, similar, not exact.
Exactly.
Let's see. Track 5, "Save Me." Uh, I like the nice bass grooves that kind of it functions as the main instrument throughout this song. And the drums are prominent too, but it's really that bass. This is the first track where the bass really jumps out at me
Yeah.
above everything else. Um, and this is, I've noticed Jeff Martin adds some Eddie Vedder to his Jim Morrison here.
Hmm.
I really kind of think that, obviously it fits in the era. And 93 is the heart of the grunge era. And yeah, these guys fit right in with that. You can
Yeah.
throw the grunge sound in the mix with the Zeppelin and the Doors
Hmm.
as part of the stew. Um, oh yeah, and I also like the use of the violin bow on Jeff Martin's guitar here.
Yeah.
Again, it's again another Zeppelin
Yeah.
homage.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
gets kind of ridiculous after a while. There's something on virtually every song. Well, this is how they're doing the Zeppelin thing here, and I don't I don't want it to sound like a bad thing, and I don't want it to make it sound
No,
like
no,
they have
no,
no originality. It's not the
no,
case.
no. But I will go one further and say they wore they wear their influences on their sleeves. Like they will say, yes, we were influenced by Led Zeppelin wholeheartedly. Whereas there's another band out there, Greta Von Fleet, that has stated that they have never heard of Led Zeppelin, but yet they sound just like Led Zeppelin.
But that's a whole other story. I
Yeah,
don't
that's a
believe they've
whole
never
other
heard Led
drama. We
Zeppelin,
won't go into it. But
but I also don't think they sound like Led Zeppelin.
well, there you go. There you go.
So
There you go.
at least not the singer definitely does not sound like Robert Plant even remotely to me. So
Yeah, what you mean? Oh, Greta Von Fleet. Yeah, no, 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 no,
yeah,
no. Whole different beast. Yeah, we're talking like, no, never mind. Well, I'll go there. Okay, I got you.
that's a whole other show.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
let's see, track 6, "Sun Going Down." This opens up sounding less like Zeppelin and more like one of the old acoustic blues artists that Zepp themselves emulated.
Yeah.
Jeff's vocals get intense and religious around the 5 minute mark as he calls to Jesus and Saint Peter. And I'd really dig the fast paced ending.
Yeah, how it builds and builds and builds. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a pretty cool change of pace there. It sounded much more ancient. You know,
yeah.
it really brings back like the old, Howlin' Wolf and Willie Dixon and, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, track 7. All right. The opening here sounded to me like a pre Dark Side of the Moon Pink Floyd track, like a Pillow of Winds. That was the instant vibe I got off this. I wasn't expecting a Pink Floyd connection, but I mean they're already in that era with the Zeppelin and Doors influences, so why wouldn't there be? Pink Floyd's not exactly an unknown quantity here.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I said, ironically, the Floyd musical vibe actually finds Martin sounding the closest to Robert Plant on this album. Not to say
Mm-hmm.
it sounds exactly like Robert, but he's in that area more. Said if a Pillow of Winds and Going to California had a baby, it might sound like this. I
Okay.
like it a lot. Yeah,
All
this is a
right.
pretty cool track.
Cool.
Um, where are we at? Track 8. Track 8 is Dreams of Reason. And there I get an instant The Rain Song vibe, um, which is good to me because that's my favorite Zeppelin song. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
certainly not going to complain about that. The opening is gorgeous. The I Need Your Love vocal section toward the end instantly made me think of In the Evening, though. So we're talking two different, yeah.
Yeah, two different eras. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I got
Yeah,
you.
it seems so unimaginative to keep making these Zeppelin comparisons, but again, this is impressions here.
Well,
And
let's
that's the
call a
impression.
spade here. I mean, it
Yeah.
is what it is. All right. I mean,
Track 9, Raven Skies. I'm getting a Stone Temple Pilots vibe, which, again, another band of that era. They were coming out about the same time here. So
yeah, yeah.
that that kind of makes sense. Were having a lot of the same influences and everything at that time. So they were peers. I really dig the chaotic midsection of the song where it almost seems like the musicians are playing three different songs. Um,
Yeah.
which kind of I know there's been some people put the Tea Party on like a prog adjacent category. They're not
Mm-hmm.
really progressive rock, but they have hints and they get kind of neighborly with prog here and there. And I guess that makes sense. You said their latest album was on the Inside Out label, and Inside Out is famously they've put out countless progressive rock albums in the 21st century. They are the progressive
Yeah,
rock
Blood
label.
Moon Rising released in 2021. Yeah, yeah.
So, so yeah, I think, that makes sense. Haze on the Hills. I just simply said this acoustic ditty belongs on Led Zeppelin 1. It would just fit right in there. Closing track, the Majestic song. The album comes full circle as this song reminds me of Opener, the River, but more low key. Um, Said it could have used a stronger ending, especially as the closing track. Kind of closes with a whimper. Now, it's not to say I don't like it because I do, but I think maybe, say, Raven Skies might have been stronger as a closing track.
Okay.
Now, if I'm remembering, Raven Skies is I'm remembering is where Jeff's singing the "Welcome to My Garden." Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. I was
yeah.
thinking that. I think that one would have been a more powerful
Mm.
ending. But again, I don't mean to talk bad about the Majestic song. I like it.
No,
It's
no,
just
no. You're not. You're not.
um, let's see my other notes here. If there's anything I didn't mention already. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Uh, I said the only other possible complaint I have is what I would have a complaint about regarding mini albums of the 90s,
Mhm.
the CD era. I think, like so many other albums, this could have been shorter. If they could have knocked off 2 or 3 tracks, it would have been more concise and hard hitting. I mean, we're in the
Okay.
56-minute album length territory.
Yeah.
If they could have knocked it down more of that classic 40, 45 minute range,
Okay.
that would have been good. And not there's any song I would say, oh, that needs to go or anything, because they're all really good songs, but
Maybe just shorten the length of a couple.
maybe take off 3 songs and put them on an EP or something and leave the
Okay.
rest to make just a more concise, hard hitting album.
Okay.
So you got to leave them wanting something. If you stay too long, people start looking at their watches and going,
Yeah.
there's a lot of albums in the 90s that were guilty of that,
Yeah.
including some of my favorites, even that I'm like, I like this a lot, but can we do something else now? Are you guys done lit? Can I move on
Yeah.
to the next thing?
Yeah. Yeah. So your final impression of this album, thumbs up or thumbs down? Or
Oh,
in,
definitely thumbs up. Yeah, I like it quite a bit. I'm curious to check out more. I've heard that they alter their sound a bit as they go, and
yeah,
so I'm
yeah,
curious.
each album is stays within the rock vein, but each album is different. They progress, they go into more, I guess you'd say more mainstream, heavy hitting rock. Um, and in at some points industrial, but not overly so. You're not talking Nine Inch Nails here, but somewhat, like just on the fringes of it. So, I've often said that if it wasn't for the Tea Party in the 90s, I really don't know where I would be in terms of listening to music. I think that for me, the Tea Party saved me, and no pun intended. They saved me in terms of what came out on the Canadian music scene in the 1990s. And they need to be touted a little more and give them just a little bit more respect. Um, but yeah. Um, and actually, I did an album ranking on the Tea Party on another channel I refuse to mention, just over a year ago. And I put this album, Splendor Solis, at the bottom of the list. I'm going to give it after listening to your uh, description of it, I'm going to give it another listen. I really am. And maybe it'll hit me on a different level. You never know, right?
I'm curious why, without giving away too much about the rest of the catalog, why did you rank it at the bottom of the list?
I kind of felt that at the time that Splendor Solis, as good as The River and Save Me and A Certain Slant of Light which were the 3 singles from the album, the main singles from the album. I kind of felt that they relied on the Zeppelin-esque influences a little, maybe a little too much.
Fair.
Um, Not that they didn't do it well, and not that they didn't put their own flavor to it and their own spin to it. I honestly think that Jeff Martin as a guitarist, vocalist, as a vocalist, fucking forget about it. He is a powerhouse in terms of his range and in terms of his delivery. As a guitarist, sublime, sublime. I mean, Stuart Chatwood as a bass player and keyboardist, amazing. And Jeff Burrows as a drummer, no one's better in terms of a heavy rock outfit as a trio. They weren't trying to be Rush. They weren't trying to be Triumph. They were
You were
sorry.
saying no one's better as a trio, and I pointed to my Rush.
There you go. They were trying to carve out a niche in a market at the time in Canada that was flooded with pastoral kind of releases, from bands like uh the Tragically Hip, groups like that, that this band, the Tea Party, just stood out above, miles above everyone else, right? And I think that what made them stand out was their uniqueness in terms of their musicality and their approach to what they were doing. Um, I just think that they were a diamond in the rough at the time, and uh, they made a hell of a stink. They made a hell of a stink and a hell of a mark, and they were able to continue it within Canada for the next uh, 8 years, up until 2001. So yeah, I'm going to go back and listen to it again, Splendor Solis. I think that you made some really good points, and you've spurred me to go back and listen to it again. Like really. So, and the fact that you're willing to listen to the other albums in the catalog after listening to this album is a good thing. It's a good thing. So,
Yeah, if you had said that they all sounded exactly like this, and as much as I enjoyed the Led Zeppelin vibe here, if you said they were all like that, I would be less interested in going further because there's only so much you need of a certain sound.
yeah, no, they're not. I mean, they're every album is different. Every album they do, they do their own thing, and it gets a bit dark around 97 with the release of Transmission, which is their only release for Atlantic Records in the US. Atlantic being the home of Zeppelin,
Go
but
figure.
go figure. But every album is different. Every album is different. Um, and what is unique about the Tea Party, they're very insular in terms of in terms of musicianship. If they want to learn to play an instrument, to add an instrument to their repertoire for an album, they just learn to play it amongst themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Very
The
moody
album,
blues.
what was it? Sorry?
I said very moody blues.
Yes, yes. The albums were all produced by Jeff Martin, which also kept the production costs down. Um, and yeah, I just think they are a very unique band. And I'm glad that you like the album. And that it's going to spur you to listen to more of the catalog, you know. Um, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Um, the latest installment of New Music Discovery, sorry, featuring the Tea Party. It's been one of those days, guys. And we will hopefully be back with another installment of New Music Discovery featuring another album from the Tea Party with Bill Schuster. So please put your comments down there, down below, what you think of Splendor Solis. All of these albums that we're going to be talking about, you can stream them on YouTube. Very easy to find. And let us know what you think of the Tea Party, whether you think that they are a unique band, or they're a good rock band, or whether or not they're a Doors knockoff or a Zeppelin knockoff. You know what? All comments are welcome. All comments are fair, or all opinions are fair. Fair game. Just let us know what you think. We'd like to get a bit of a dialogue going here. So I'd like to thank Bill Schuster for joining me on this episode. We have not done one of these episodes together in a long time, and I miss doing them with you because you're fantastic to do them together
Thank you.
with me. Um,
Yeah, the last time we did one of these was Concrete Blonde's debut, and that episode died a quick and unnoticed death,
yes, yes.
but
So
it was
yes,
still fun.
ladies and gentlemen, go back and rediscover the episode we did on Concrete Blonde on New Music Discovering on their debut. Please, it'd be most appreciated. Thank you so much. Anyways, please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content that we've got coming up. Um, I've also got an episode coming up with Jim Bricker and Ken Cheshire on ranking the albums of XTC. That is coming up very soon. And we'll see you soon with another video. I'm Armando Venditti signing off. Please look after yourselves and one another, and we'll see you soon with another video. Bye for now.